branch of linguistics that studies how people understand meaning based on context and situation in communication. Pragmatics focuses not only on the meaning of words but also on the speaker's intention, the listener, the place, and the situation when the conversation happens. For example, if someone says, "It's cold in here," the sentence literally means the room is cold. However, pragmatically, the speakers may actually want someone to close the window, turn off the fan, or increase the temperature. So, the real meaning depends on the context. You might ask, so what's the difference between semantics and pragmatics? Because they're both kind of the same. So basically, semantics studies literal or dictionary meaning of words and sentences. Meanwhile, pragmatics studies the intended meaning based on context. Let me give you an example. Like the sentence, "Can you open the door?" Semantically, this sentence asks about someone's ability to open the door. But pragmatically, it is actually a polite request asking someone to open the door. So semantics focuses on the meaning of language itself, while pragmatics focuses on the meaning in real communication.
According to Yusrina et al. 2024, context plays an important role in shaping meaning because people interpret language through contextual clues. So yeah, context is important in communication because the same sentence can have different meanings in different situations.
Let me give you another example. Like if someone says, "Nice job," the sentence can be a real compliment, but it can also be sarcasm depending on the speaker's tone and situation. Without understanding context, people can misunderstand each other. That's why pragmatics help us communicate more effectively and understanding the speaker's real intention.
Taguchi and Baron 2024 found that speakers adjust their language strategies depending on the listener's reactions and social situation.
I will explain about the aspects of pragmatic. So, what is the aspects of pragmatic? Pragmatic has 7 aspects, or you can remember them easily using phonemic G, S, I, P, C, M, P, or sentence. Daisy sits in reading classroom making progress. So, let's restart with the first aspect. First aspect of pragmatic is Daisy, or the letter D. Stands for the axis. The axis is words whose meaning depends on the context of the utterance, like when, where, and who. The types of the axis are: person the axis refers to speakers, place the axis refers to location, time the axis refers to moments, discourse the axis refers to the part of the conversation, and social the axis refers to social relationship. Second aspect of pragmatic is SIDS, or the letter S stands for speech acts. Using language not just to inform but to perform an action, like promising, ordering, apologizing, and etc. John Early's 5 types are: assertive, states facts; directive, get someone to do something; commissive, commit to future action; expressive, express feelings; and declarative, change reality by speaking. The third aspect is in, or the letter I, stands for implicator. Implicator meaning is the implied meaning that not directly stated. HPQSS 2 types are conventional implicator, tied to specific word, and conversational implicator, depends on context, can be cancelled. The fourth aspect is pretty, or the letter P, stands for presupposition. Presupposition meaning is an assumption that speaker makes before uttering a sentence. The key property is survives negation. If you deny the sentence, the presupposition remains true. The fifth aspect is classroom, or the letter C stands for context. Context is all the background information needed to interpret an utterance. Two main types are linguistic context, include words or sentence before and after, and non-linguistic context includes physical setting, time, speaker and listener relationship, and shared knowledge. The sixth aspect is making, or the letter M stands for maxims, Crassus cooperative principle. What is maxims? Maxims is unwritten rules that we follow to communicate efficiently. The maxims are quality, say what is true; quantity, give exactly as much information as needed; relevance, stay on topic; and manner, be clear, orderly, and avoid ambiguity. The last aspect, or the seventh aspect, is progress, or the letter P stands for politeness. Politeness is strategies to maintain social harmony and protect face or self-image. Politeness strategies are bold on record, positive politeness, negative politeness, and off record.
Here are two real-life examples for each of the 7 aspects of pragmatics. For the first examples is from the axis aspects. So, the example is a mother texting her son, "Put the groceries here on the kitchen table now, and then you can go out." So, for the explanation is, this uses places the axis like here and time the axis like now. The words only make sense because the son knows. Here means his current location at home, and now means the present moment when he receives the text. Alright, then for the speech X aspects. For the first example is a flight attendant telling a passenger, "Please fasten your seatbelt." For the explanation is, this is a directive speech because the speaker's intention, like in locutionary act, is to get the listener to perform an action, like fastening the belt, for safety reasons. And then, for example for implicator aspect is, husband said, "Are we out of coffee?" And wife said, "The supermarket is just down the street." For the explanation is, the wife does not directly answer yes or no. However, her response implies that they are out of coffee, but it is easy to go buy more. And then, for the presupposition aspects, example 1 is, Sarah regrets quitting her job. For the explanation, the factive verb regrets triggers the presupposition that Sarah did actually quit her job. Even if we negate it, Sarah does not regret quitting her job. The assumption that she quit remains true. And then, for the conversational maxims aspects, for the example 1 is, "Where did you go after school?" And teenager said, "Outside." For the explanation, the teenager violates the maxim of quantity by giving too little information. The parent expects a specific location but receives an unhelpful, overly brief answer. Alright, then for the context aspect, for the example 1 is, standing inside a messy kitchen, a roommate sighs and says, "Well, this is clean." For the explanation, based on the non-linguistic context or the physical setting of a dirty room, the listener knows the speaker is using sarcasm and actually means the exact opposite of their literal words. And for the last aspect is politeness. For the example one is, I know you are incredibly busy, but could you possibly spare 5 minutes to check my essay? For the explanation, this is a negative politeness strategy. The speaker acknowledges that they are imposing on the listener's time and freedom, like protecting the listener's negative face by using apologetic and minimizing language. And for the second example is a passenger in car saying, wow, the speed limit here is 50, but we are going 80. So the explanation is this is an off-record strategy. Instead of directly ordering the driver to slow down, like which could be rude, the passenger drops an indirect hint, letting the driver choose to slow down on their own.
In conclusion, pragmatics is the study of how people understand and use language based on context, not only on the literal meaning of words. It helps people understand what speakers really mean, what they intended to communicate, and how listeners interpret messages in different situations. Without context, communication can easily be misunderstood. Pragmatics is an important part of everyday communication because people often mean more than what they directly say. This shows that understanding context is essential for successful communication. There are several important aspects of pragmatics. Together, these aspects help explain how people share information, express intention, make assumptions, follow social rules, and maintain good relationship when communicating. Understanding pragmatics allows us to communicate more clearly, avoid misunderstanding, and interpret messages more accurately. It also helps us become better listeners and more effective speakers. Pragmatic shows that communication is not only about words and grammar, it is also about understanding people, situation, and intention.